Hello, welcome back. This week's vlog on my travel focused YouTube channel, which is not going to be such a travel focused topic, is should you take a gap year, or is it worth taking a gap year? I think this is a really contentious topic. It's becoming more normalized nowadays, but I feel like there's a lot of judgment and scrutiny surrounding taking a gap year, so I kind of just wanted to not demystify it, but talk about my experience and why I think taking a gap year was so worth it, at least for me. For those of you who don't know, a gap year can be taken at any point of your education. The most common time is right after high school or right after college, but this is just American culture thing. Most people don't take gap years. They hustle culture in America is very go, 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 no breaks, pedal to the metal 24/7, and that's just not the case in most places around the world. When I was traveling around Europe, everyone I met was pretty much taking a gap year. Either they were fresh out of high school, they were taking a gap year in the middle of college, in the middle of high school, in the middle of their career, in the middle of their masters, all different stages of their life. So it's definitely way more normalized over there. And I just want to say you shouldn't feel ashamed if you want to take a gap year. But yeah, I just also want to acknowledge that I know that I was able to take a gap year because of from a position of privilege. I know that I can say all this from a position of privilege, and I know this isn't always a possibility for everyone, but if you are considering taking a gap year, don't feel bad. And if you have the means to do it, I would honestly say do it. You have your whole life to start your career. There's no rush unless obviously you have a financial rush, you need it to survive and be a human being. But if you have some money saved up, you work jobs throughout college. For me personally, I worked 3 jobs at once during college, and I was juggling a lot of extracurriculars, taking a lot of classes. I was on it. You have some money saved up and you can go around and travel, take a break. It's worth it. Now I'm going to talk about 5 reasons why I personally chose to take a gap year, and that way you may feel the same way. Maybe you won't. You'll have your own reasons probably, but yeah. Anyways, just want to share what I think. For me, the biggest reason I took a gap year was, quite frankly, I didn't know what the hell I was doing with my life. I'm the type of person who's just kind of gone with the flow and done what was expected of her. Yes, I am really ambitious, but I also was oh, that meant taking the most AP classes. That meant getting 3 minors and being at the top of my class and being super school focused. I didn't take time to explore my own interests, and I think that really bit me in the butt when it came time for graduation and finding a career, because I was I don't really know what I like, and it didn't feel good. I'm still terrified of getting a full-time job that I don't like, and I get it. A lot of people have jobs they don't like. You get a high-paying job so that you can have fun on the side, but that just really doesn't interest me. I don't know. I think taking a gap year would give me time to figure out what it was that I was, would give me time to figure out what I was interested in, if that makes sense. And then the second biggest reason was I was just burnt out. Like I said, I was pedal to the metal all the time. I was doing the absolute most, pushing myself as far as I could go. All of my friends thought I was crazy for how much I was trying to take on and just spreading myself so thin. And so I needed that mental break. And if I'm honest, I feel I'm still recovering from that. I don't know how I did it. I don't think I could do that now. I was just, the grind did not stop until I hit graduation. And when I finally did, I was I'm not going back. I refuse. Freedom is so nice. I've had this little taste of what it could be on the other side, and I refuse to go back. The third reason, and it's kind of all tied together, is I just dread the idea of a 9-to-5. I respect anyone who can do it, and I respect all of you who may be in a 9-to-5, but for me, I love the flexibility of my schedule and getting to determine what I'm gonna do for the day. And sure, you know that TikTok video where people are didn't want to work a 9-to-5, started my own business, and now I work 24/7.
I didn't want to work a 9-to-5, so now I work 24/7.
That's me. As much as I complain about working a 9-to-5, I'm pretty sure I work more hours than I would be in a 9-to-5. So there's that little issue. But At the same time, I still do have the freedom of not working a 9 to 5 sometimes, or not working 10 hours a day. Sometimes I just take days off in the middle of the week and I can go down to the beach or do whatever I want. So I think having that freedom for me outweighs any negative side that there could be. The fourth reason that I wanted to take a gap year is that I wanted to really explore my passions and outside interests. Again, it ties back to the first point. There's a lot of things I tried. I tried doing a sales boot camp, and it was the biggest waste of money. Spent $6,000 on that. Was not worth it. But then I found blogging and I was like, wait, this really clicks for me. I love blogging. I love helping people figure out, like, creating itineraries and figuring out, just talking about my experiences while I'm traveling and finding a way to mesh what I love with what I want to do and somehow make money along the way. So it's been a really good experience for me. I've also picked up piano. It's just time to time for yourself to really see what you're interested in. And then lastly, obviously, the biggest reason, traveling. I traveled a ton during my gap years at this point. I'm in my second gap year. I have traveled to, I think, 18 countries around there. Like I had not traveled that much before I graduated. I mean, I traveled a little bit, but like I've definitely, I think, doubled my country count since graduating. And seen a lot. Those are my reasons for traveling and taking a gap year. But let me see if there's anyone else I could talk to about why they chose to take a gap year and whether they think it's worth it. Let me see if I can hit up my friend. How did that happen? Don't know.
Hi, it's me. Soul's Vids. I'm always here.
Soul's Vids.
You're probably tired of me, actually. It's only been like, what, 3 videos?
A little bit.
Out of like, you have like, what, 40 videos?
Whoa, relax. We don't need to go down the rabbit hole. There's like maybe 5 or 6 really good videos on my YouTube account, and then the rest are like, a little questionable. It's fine. But yeah, Soul here has also been taking a gap decade.
At this point, it might as well be a decade, yeah.
But I figured it would be nice to have another perspective on why he chose to take a gap year and whether it's been worth it for him. Obviously, you guys know my perspective, so here's his.
Yeah, so hi again, I'm Soul's Vids. This is it's going on 3 gap years. But I feel like my case was a little bit different because I graduated 2020, same from UCSD, just like Kristen. That's kind of where we met. 2020, it felt like everyone was taking a gap year because of what was happening in the world. So, I mean, that definitely did help me sort of justify like why I should take a gap year, especially since I never really felt like I graduated because I didn't have a graduation ceremony. They kind of just sent me my diploma in the mail and I was like, oh, all right. Cool. So, yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it was cool, but I don't know. I know they redid like the ceremony for my year, like a whole year later.
Oh yeah, they did it super late, like in October.
Yeah.
Like, hey, come back in the middle of the year, not even around graduation time, which is kind of BS.
Yeah, so by then I was kind of over it, so I didn't really care. So yeah, and I kind of looked around and I was like, I mean, I don't have any kids, I don't have a wife, I don't really have anything like sort of tying me down, so I took whatever I had saved up, and the first place I went to was Mexico, and I went to go reconnect with my family out there. So unforgettable experience. I ended up going again the following year, but literally right after that first Mexico trip, I went to Tahiti with Kristen. So.
I literally, story time, really quick interjection.
Go ahead.
I was like, hey Soul, I'm thinking of going to Tahiti. Do you want to go to Tahiti? He's like, give me a week. I call him back in a week and he was like, all right, I got a job, I can go. And so this man literally worked until the Tahiti trip, which is like 6 months, and then he quit and he's like, all right, I'm ready to go. So
yeah, I was gonna say that too, like even though it's like been a gap year as far as career-wise work, I have been working, and what I've been doing for the last 3 years is I've been taking random jobs, have it be like a warehouse or most of them have been warehouses, but then there's been other type of jobs, and I'll work until a certain amount and then I'll quit because those type of jobs are really easy to quit. I don't have
high turnover anyway.
Yeah, I literally just leave and then I go travel for a couple weeks, sometimes even months, and then come back and then just redo the thing. Yeah. So when she reached out to me saying, hey, do you want to go to Tahiti? First of all, I had to look up where Tahiti was. I've heard of it, I just forgot where it was. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm down. So I got a quick job and then stay there for like, I think it was like months or so, quit, and then like literally within days I was in Tahiti. Well, I was in Mexico first and then Tahiti, but
Yeah, and this man, we went when you had to get COVID tested, right?
Yeah,
You had to
yeah.
get PCR COVID tested, all that shit. Like, it was super strict. The whole reason we couldn't even go our original dates was like the first week of January was because the borders were still closed for travel into French Polynesia. And he wasn't able to get COVID tested between like the first, right when he got back from Mexico, and then the next day we left for Tahiti. And at that time, like, rapid PCR really wasn't a thing. There was still like a 2 or 3 day delay, and he was getting his test results while we were at the airport. Like, it was very high stress.
it was like last minute, but we made it, so it was worth it. And speaking of like closed borders too, Japan had their borders for like closed for 2 years, almost 3. So as soon as they opened up, I did the same thing. I was working. As soon as I heard that they opened up the borders, I quit, and then I just went to Japan.
I'm in the zoo with the lions and apes and bears. You probably won't make it there. One of the options, they say they want smoke with me. You don't want to take it there.
So that's been my most
That's
recent
so
trip.
great.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all about just keeping yourself busy. Like, I've also been, doing a lot of video stuff, photography, and really things like that I like to do. And I know you just covered that too. Like,
But do you think it's been worth it?
yeah,
Well, if you could go back in time and let's say like there's no pandemic,
yeah.
because obviously people who are watching it now, they're not. I mean, we're in a pandemic, but it's like, it's pandemic light. Do you think you would still recommend taking a gap year if you have the means to?
I would, even if like there was no pandemic, it was all normal, whatever. I definitely would, because some of the experiences I've had abroad while traveling have been, I mean, just amazing. I'll always think about them forever. Like, whether it's just walking down the streets of Tokyo at night, just like with all these friends that I met from all over the world, or just hanging out with my little cousins that I met for the first time ever out in Mexico. So I do think it has been worth it, and I'd probably do it again, but it does get stressful. And like, I don't know, one thing for me is like seeing your peers and how they're all sort of successful, because I mean, they've, like, while I've been traveling and all that, doing my thing, like, they've been working and saving up, and they're driving around in like brand new Teslas and just doing all that. And it's awesome, and I'm happy for them, but it also kind of does make me feel like I'm like falling behind in the race.
Yeah.
But it's not a race, life isn't really a race.
We're all on our own path.
Yeah.
100%.
And as much as I sort of like kind of wish I was like in their position and doing awesome things like them, it's like they look at me and they tell me, oh man, I wish I could go out and travel like you and all that. So I don't know.
The grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
But I also like, that for me was a lot to grapple with when I graduated and I decided, like, my parents were like, so what are you gonna do? When are you gonna get your full-time job? I was like, give me like a couple of months, please. Like, I'll figure it out. Never figured it out. Meanwhile, my friends were literally like, I make $200K a year. I make 6 figures. I make, X amount of money, super high paying job. I'm in the top medical school, the top pharmacy school, the top whatever school, or top PhD programs. It just like doesn't feel good. And I think the biggest thing for me, aside from like the generic don't compare yourself to others, is like, what do you actually want? Like, you really need to dig deep and ask yourself, what do you want out of life? Like, would I be happy if I were in their position? Like, yeah, people say money can't buy happiness, but it buys stability and all that shit. But at the same time, it's like, would I be happy going day in, day out to like work in the hospital? Probably not. I'm just not. That's not my personality. That's not my type. So as much as like I'm almost envious of them, I also can recognize that's not my fit. That doesn't work for me. And so I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like, I have my own journey. I have my own goals and what I want out of life. And it's vastly different from what they want. And so you shouldn't compare yourself. And you should ask what you do want. Where do you actually want to be in a year, 5 years, and 10 years? Like, create those goals and reverse engineer it as to how you can get there. For me, I want to travel for free. Literally, that is it. I want to travel for free, whether it be through sponsorships, whether it's through monetizing my blog, brand deals. I don't care what it is. I want my own schedule and to travel and see the world. And so how I'm doing that is, with my blog, with YouTube, reaching out to these tourism boards and reaching out to people who I could potentially work with. Because at the end of the day, like, money to me doesn't mean shit. Like, yeah, it brings some air of stability, and I get that's, again, from a position of privilege, but you can't take that with you to the grave. I would rather have a lifetime of just, like, barely being comfortable financially than all this excess wealth where I still have obligations to my workplace. And I can't enjoy the money that I've accumulated over time. And really, another thing to consider about a gap year is you are never gonna be as, like, strings unattached as you are in your very early 20s. Like, whether you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or you're married or whatever, like, those are strings that are you have to take those into consideration. And if you don't have any of them, like, now is the time to go. Your 20s are meant to experiment around and to go for it. Like, try all these different things, fail at 50 of them. It doesn't matter. Like, have your 30s figured out. But, like, your 20s, take advantage of your youth. So many places, they know that the youth in other areas of the world are traveling a lot. That's why they offer so many discounts. That's why they consider youth up to your 26, because they want you to travel and really encourage you to explore outside of the traditional route. And I hate that it's not a thing in America. Like, everyone says, as soon as you turn 18, you better have your life figured out. Bro, like, what? There's no shot I could have my life figured out. I remember thinking, like, in early high school, I was always so stressed because I didn't know what I want. And everyone's like, you'll figure it out when you apply to college, when junior year comes around. I never figured it out, bro. I never figured it out. Even in college, I didn't figure it out. I just did what was expected of me. So, like, don't feel bad if you want to take a gap year. It's definitely something worth looking into, and you might actually find what you're really meant to do. For me, that's been travel blogging. Like, I love it. I'm so thankful that even though it took a really expensive boot camp that was absolutely useless for sales, and I made a lot of mistakes paying for the wrong things, I got there in the end. And I would rather have those costly mistakes than to be stuck in a job for perpetuity doing something I didn't like. Sorry, and rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That was good. Hey, that was actually pretty good. That was so good. For me, the end goal has always been to just eventually move to a different country and relocate and kind of just get away from everything over here. And I've wanted that ever since I was a kid. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't even ever, like, thought I was ever going to travel or be able to. So when I studied abroad for the first time, which we already talked about this. Yeah. So I don't want to go too into that, but if you can study abroad, please do it. Yeah, watch that video. But it wasn't until my travel abroad experience to where I was like, wow, this is actually something I really want for real, and it's possible. So I'm just working kind of towards that every day, and hopefully one day, it'll happen.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anywho, thanks for coming. This is the end of the video. I know it's kind of abrupt, but I feel like me at least, I talked about this very extensively. Thank you, Sol, for joining
Actually,
me.
She's right about saying it's so rare here, like, because literally she's the only person that I can relate to when it comes to these sort of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's why I'm always here, with you.
No, and genuinely, like, if I had more people to bring up, no offense, Slow, if I had more friends, like, I would also feature them too. But, like, truly, it is not common in America. And I think if I have any other American viewers watching these videos, like, you'll notice it's not that common. It really isn't. Like, people expect you to go immediately into a job, and that sucks. Like, take some time. Don't get burnt out. Like, hustle culture is, like, get that shit out of your head. It's not worth it. Like, go live your life. You're meant to live life. You don't live to work. You work so that you can live. So, yeah. That's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed it and you enjoyed coming to my TED Talk and my rant about why taking a gap year is worth it, and you should consider it if you have the means to. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, or if you would like more of my mini rants about life, because I think they're super fun to give, please like the video. Comment below if you took a gap year. I also know I still have some older, middle-aged people watching this, or even a lot older people watching this. Did you all take a gap year? Do you think times have changed? Definitely let us know in the comments below. I would love for gap years to be normalized in American culture because they're amazing. And then subscribe for more videos. Yay!
Okay.
Where'd he go?